Guys, deluded. Now, I've seen us linked with Lichsteiner, most notably known for his time at Juventus. He spent time at other clubs in Switzerland. I'm so sure he used to play for Lazio as well. But yeah, he's a fullback. He's 34 years of age, and he's been linked with us. Now, he hasn't just been linked with us. He's been linked with moves to the MLS. He's been linked to moves to China, which he's actually quashed and said it's about. The next move is about the quality of life in regards to his family. So China's out of the equation. MLS offers at 34 years of age. If you're talking about quality of life, America's a good country to go to. Like, let's not focus on the current politics. So there's that. Allegedly, Dortmund have made an offer now. He's apparently rejected it and said he won't be going there, but there's a couple German offers. And then there's an offer from Arsenal. 2-year deal, I believe. Now, we don't know how that's 2 years formed. Is it 1 year contract with the option of another, or is it flat out 2 years? If I was him, I would press for a flat out 2 years because you need security at 34 years of age. And from a club's point of view, if you're going to give him a 2-year contract off the back of it, I see it as poor business to a degree. But let's crack on with the pros and cons. Firstly, let's start with the cons. I see it as a bit of poor business on the basis of yes, we need experience in the squad, but you look at Czech, you look at Monreal, you look at Koscielny, for example. Question marks over all of them. All of them are good players, but they're getting on a bit. Every year, question marks are going to be asked. So if we add Liechtenstein into that equation, that's 4 players. These players are not on modest wages. Now, if we are as frugal as a club as we claim to be and need to watch our pennies as much, logically speaking, does it make sense to mess around with your figures and allocate funds where they don't need to be? As well. So yeah. He's obviously Juventus. When you play at Italy, you learn how to look after your body, and the Italians have made history doing that of recent years as well. So I don't think he'd have any problems. But because of his age, you've got every injury he probably gets. There's question marks. Every year, like this year, it'd probably be cool, but next year there'll be question marks. Every injury is harder to get back from. We're playing twice a week, so it's going to be a lot on his body. Yes, you could say he's going to be a backup, and we'll get onto the pros in a bit, but he's going to be a backup. But you never know in that aspect. And obviously, we're seeing with the likes of Czech, etc. When you get older at this club, we don't mask your frailties. And what I mean by that is, yeah, they're falling off, but they still have a lot to offer. Take John Terry. Once upon a time, Terry's always had problems with a high line, but there was a time he could cope with it. Obviously, he lost that bit of the bare little pace he had. He lost his legs, so he could not play a high line or he'd get caught out. So what did Jose do at Chelsea? He built the team to mask his frailties. So if Terry goes high, there's somebody there. We don't do that at Arsenal. We know Czech has certain problems. We don't mask it. We know Koscielny has certain problems. We don't mask it. So if we add that to Liechtenstein into the equation, we're not going to mask his. So yeah. I'd prefer us to go for a younger fullback ideally. I mean, I'm not complaining about the guy. It's a decent bit of backup, but I just see it as creating more problems because there's question marks over left back. Again, Monreal has been one of our players of the season, but every year he's not getting any younger. Cole, I hope he goes and becomes a left back for our club, but there's question marks over him. So there's question marks over a left back in general. There's question marks over fullback. Yes, Bellerin's young and all of these things, but every year there's always talk of being sold and things. So would you not rather buy someone that's competent, consistent with the better age, with their better years, or a decent amount of playing career at the top level, at the best body form or whatever, ahead of them? That's what I would go through. Because if we're really as frugal and as prudent in our transfers and our finances as we claim to be, I do not see, as when I look at it as non-biased as possible, it doesn't make much sense for me personally. It's clear we're going for someone experienced because you look at Socrates, you look at Evans, you look at Lichtenstein, at different positions, whether they claim to be underwhelming, they all have experience versus a lot of the players that are at the club, especially the young ones. So yeah, what's the point? Like if he's here and he goes through a bit of bad form and his physical levels and performance levels drop, you're in it because he's laughing because he's got a 2-year deal in the Premier League on decent cake, but he's not doing nothing. But onto the pros now. What I believe he can bring. Now he's a captain of Sweden and he's been at Juventus where there's high expectations and stuff like that. So he's going to be a leader. And let's not be naive. He's not going to go into the dressing room and everyone's just going to listen to him because a lot of them boys have been together for years. But he's someone that players could look up to, someone that will demand respect, someone that will demand expectation, someone that's, forgive me for want of better years, but he's a real man's man sort of thing. So that's what we need, demanding. Someone that could be somewhat like Uno Emre's lieutenant in the same way Wenger was for Mertesacker. So yeah, he wouldn't, because of his age, he wouldn't necessarily block the young players by the same token of it being a con. Because in 2 years, if the likes of Ose Tutu, which I must admit I rate him very highly now, I thought he was a steady Eddie at first. I like him a lot. Wouldn't necessarily block his pathway and things like that. So yeah, and if we are looking for another fullback or whatever, to replace Bellerin or whatever, there's time to look at that. And he's got like it'll be a stopgap signing. So there are some pros of it. He's won league titles at Juventus, so he's someone that can offer support, someone that can deal with pressure clearly. Like obviously this year he kind of phased out the team a bit, but someone that can deal with pressure, someone that can deal with expectation, and that can all rub off onto the players. Someone that can help galvanize players. You can't buy experience. By the same logic that signing him for experience purposes with the pensioners we have at this club is a con. It's also a pro. If I was him though, as non-biased as it is, I'd consider a move to Arsenal and play in Premier League before my career's done. But MLS, that's a good move. You said you're not on China. So yeah, I wouldn't. It's not the end of the world if we sign him, but it is a bit puzzling in my humble opinion. I mean, I wouldn't call him racist. He's not racist, but there was an interview a few years ago that rubbed me up the wrong way. He was alluding to the fact that there's too many foreign faces in the Swedish side, and again, I'm not matching him word for word, but he said there's too many faces, foreign faces in the Switzerland side, and it's important to have people that players can look up to in the Switzerland side. So that rubbed me up a bit wrong way. So that does go against him in my opinion. But yeah, man, I must admit, if out of 10, if you to judge how on this transfer I'm on want it to happen, I'd probably say about 4. If he comes, I'm not gonna get onto him. I'm gonna back him. He's got a lot of pros, but it is a bit underwhelming to a degree in the sense that not because of him, but I'd rather go for someone young that can be, if it is just to be a backup, can be backup to Bellerin on the basis that he's in his 20s for a number of years and competently challenge him. Short term, I guess Lichsteiner could challenge Bellerin because he is consistent, he is steady, and he does his thing. He is consistent, something Bellerin's been struggling with. So if Bellerin's out of form and he gets thrown in, it's something to aspire to. And at least short term, Bellerin has someone to fight for his spot. So yeah, there's pros and cons of both. Not too sure how much his wages will be on, but you've got to think it'll be a decent wage. I mean, if I was his agent or whatever, yes, Arsenal's got the carrot versus the MLS of it being Arsenal. Premier League. He said his wife and children have to feel good, so there's a carrot of London there. But by the same logic, there's MLS offers, there's all sorts of things. So I can see all the offers. If I was Lichtenstein, I'll take my time to consider every offer, in my humble opinion, apart from China, because he said he's not on it. So yeah, man, that's my opinions. And yeah, what else have we got? Also, Chat Wilshere, I know a lot of you have been asking me about that Instagram post. I mean, he said something about the next chapter in his career or life or something. Next chapter. It's a bit of a ambiguous one because is he alluding to not signing or playing for this club anymore, or is he alluding to Unai Emery coming into the management role? I'm not too sure. Apparently, he had an offer of a contract on the table. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm at this point. Wilshere, I love you. You're the reason this video, these whole video journeys started by myself. But if you want to leave, leave. I'm tired of these love dramas. Ramsey as well, as much as I love him. But yeah, there's that. And I know a lot of you that are sharp enough remember Dennis Praet. He's played against us for Anderlecht when they knocked us out the champs. We wanted him when he was like 15, 16, but he elected to continue his education at Anderlecht. We now want him now that he's at Sampdoria. Apparently he's got a 22 million release clause. So yeah, you're seeing us linked with a lot of midfielders regardless. You're seeing Seri, you're seeing him, you're seeing just about everyone. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what happens, to say the least. But guys, deluded, get in the comments, subscribe and do the rest. I'm out.